What is up, you guys? It is another episode of the Sci-Fi Zone where the multiverse meets a seventh inning stretch. We are your hosts, Trenton and CJ, and today's destination is taking us back to the DC universe. It is Peacemaker Season 2, the finale. What a journey it has been. And not getting into spoilers, what is your overall take on this finale?
I enjoyed the episode, as I have with all episodes of the show, honestly. I enjoy the show overall. And I think that we did get some good closure in some areas. But I do think there were also a lot of questions left unanswered. Overall, I enjoyed it. It did almost feel more like, I guess, the first episode of a new season rather than a season finale, if that makes sense in a way. Like, I feel like a lot of the crescendo of kind of the plot of the show, or what had been going on, kind of happened in episode 7 with everything that happened with Keith and Augie, and then them leaving Earth X. um, but this felt sort of like a different show, and for good reasons and for bad reasons.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't really think about it that way, but now that you put it that way, it honestly makes a lot of sense. It does kind of feel like a new picking up point that like I would want to see more elaborated on, but no, like this is it. And James Gunn has also said there's nothing like written or currently in plan for a season 3, which makes me feel like they were going to kind of gauge the overall success of it and kind of go off of that, and then which is kind of similar to what I feel like they were doing with Superman as well, gauging the success of that and then going off of that as well. And I know that he has like a plan for his phases and stuff like that, but it does seem like a season 3 or like parts of a season 3 should be in the works to a degree with this finale. Like, I don't know, like too many things are left up in the air for me personally.
Yeah, I totally agree, and it is sort of worrying based off of where some of these characters leave off. But I mean, I imagine, not to get into what exactly happened with Chris, but if if there's no more references to what happened to him, or if that doesn't play into plots of future projects, I think that would make little to no sense. I feel like he's gonna have to play a role in some way, whether that be a season 3 of Peacemaker, or if it's going to be a different show entirely, or if it's going to be a movie, maybe Men of Tomorrow. But we'll just have to wait and see, because there's still a lot up in the air.
Yeah, and also what happens with Peacemaker in relevance to how it affects everyone that is like currently like on his side and
Yeah,
would want to defend him from said circumstances, like we've been seeing the 11th Street Kids and other people who later on in the episode joined the crew. I would want to see how they would respond to the situation.
yeah, 100%. I totally agree, and I hope we get to see that at some point.
Me too. So yeah, let's get into the spoilers. So the
So
finale, it opens on a flashback to the night of the boat that Peacemaker has been asking Amelia about for the entire season. And we open to them eating at a restaurant called Big Belly Burger, which for those who live in California reminded me of Bob's Big Boy. Love that place, even though it's a little far from me, but really yummy. And it's always got that like retro future-y vibe.
yeah,
Love
yeah,
that
yeah.
vibe. Like that restaurant could exist in the Fantastic Four universe for sure. But they're hanging out. It might be a date, it might not be a date. I don't know where exactly they're at in this dynamic. Like their dynamic is weird. They kind of toy with it, but then once things get a little too deep, they kind of just start bashing each other.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, even throughout this date, like they're making subtle jabs at each other because that's the only way they know how to communicate, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the only way that they can express that they're like that they enjoy being around each other.
Yeah. And during the conversation, Peacemaker asks Amelia if she knows the song that's playing, and she says that she doesn't know the song. And I think it's really interesting that it's a constant for Amelia in the multiverse to not know popular songs in their universe's culture because they're so caught up in their respective careers. So I think that was like a good through line from the Earth X universe that seems to be one of the only ones in this finale, sadly.
Yeah, that was, I like the consistency there. And I think also in a previous episode, Leota says something. I think when she was talking to Judo Master, she says something about his taste in music point. But someone talks about his taste in music and how it's not good at all. But so that's probably why Amelia doesn't know a lot of it. But to his credit, the song is playing in a restaurant, so it's got this may be one of the only popular songs he knows.
Yeah. So anyway, Peacemaker starts singing a song in the restaurant, and social anxiety is afraid of this man because everyone is staring. He does not care. He's making Amelia cringe, almost like folding into a ball under the table, basically. And this interestingly leads to a conversation about how Amelia doesn't value herself as much as she should, and Peacemaker's feelings for her are stronger than they seem on the surface, and that she doesn't want anything special and she just wants to keep working, for the government, for Argus, whoever it may be. So again, during this time frame, she's again suppressing her feelings. So it's good that at least her character has came far from these habits.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree. And I thought the song choice was very interesting. It was a song called "Someone Special," and Chris is
Yeah.
singing this to Amelia, and she is obviously like cringing and she's getting embarrassed by it. And so Chris just asks her like, "Why are you embarrassed to be someone special?" And it's something that she's been dealing with all season long. Like he's been dealing with it all season long. These characters, like, they can see so clearly in each other that they're both so special, but then when they're starting to look inwards, their vision starts to get a little blurry, and they don't really see it as much. So I thought that was interesting. Just something they both been dealing with for the whole season, it seems like. But overall, this was like a very different dynamic between Chris and Amelia. I feel like we haven't seen this kind of interaction between them a lot. They were laughing, they were enjoying themselves, they were having a good time. They weren't fighting. Like, it was nice to see.
Yeah, they're actually being a little bit vulnerable with each other, and things were seemingly to head in the right direction. But then 12 shots of tequila are introduced into the mix.
Yeah.
The bartender also takes shots with them, so that was cool. Which I also noticed the bartender specifically chose vodka while they chose tequila, which I'm assuming because they paired it with the lime. So that's just that's my take on it. Also, it looked like tequila. Was it tequila? Do you know?
I think so. I
It was
don't.
either that or like Fireball, but I doubt they're doing Fireball with
Yeah,
lime.
probably.
That doesn't
Yeah,
make
yeah.
sense.
No, no.
But while they're leaving, again, I mean, Amelia is just like a magnet for douchebags making inappropriate comments to her for some reason. And coincidentally, she's also looking to beat on these guys like it's her hobby. So, again, this happens to her. And luckily, Peacemaker steps in just in time, calms everything down, sends Bro inside the restaurant, and they walk out. And Amelia thinks that Peacemaker's trying to protect her. And he's like, "No, I'm trying to protect that man. You were gonna give him a concussion and broken teeth, and we're also just trying to have a fun night. Like, look at the stars. Like, let's just can we chill for a second?" And she's like, "Fine, you're right. Don't get used to me saying you're right, but you're right." So a lot of tough love going on.
Yeah. It's so natural for Amelia to, like, some assholes like hitting on her. She immediately goes into like it's either fight or flight or freeze, right? She goes into fight. She goes into fight mode. And luckily Chris is there to like kind of diffuse the situation a little bit, step in. I like the line of him saying like, "No, I was protecting him from you. I was not protecting you from
Yeah.
him." And honestly, kind of a good call. She is very trained. She knows exactly what she's doing in fights. She's had experiences like this before.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was a good line.
I guess you could say he's a peacemaker.
He was making the peace that night. Yeah. Such a good shirt.
How to do it. Thank you. Yeah. Hot Topic. It was like $20.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. They actually have a decent amount of graphic t-shirts, for like Fantastic Four, Doctor Doom, Spider-Man, other DC stuff too.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Huh.
Whole variety.
Not sponsored.
No,
Not
not
yet.
sponsored. Anyway, also the freckles bit, that was weird. That was a little weird.
Yeah, I don't know what that was about.
Yeah, it was kind of funny, but it was whatever, in my opinion.
Yeah. There's some really good writing in the show. Not everything is.
Yeah. So they're walking around the docks talking about Adrian a little bit, and Amelia actually starts being a little honest, being like, I'm glad we hung out tonight. Can't believe I've never been down here. And of course, Peacemaker just gets distracted and sees a concert happening on the boat, and he's like, let's go, let's go, let's go. She doesn't even want to go, but he forces her to go anyway, and they go watch a few songs on the boat. And it does end up actually being a fun night, and we actually end up finding out that they kissed during this whole interaction. They had like a passionate kiss for like 10-15 seconds, which, James Gunn, props to you. I could never tell my wife to go make out with John Cena, and I know for a fact it was not a one take. So I just think that's crazy because, for those who don't know, the actor that plays Amelia Harcourt is James Gunn's wife. So I was kind of waiting to see if they would kiss at all or have any sort of like sexual interaction, because like it's been pretty vanilla between them for mostly this season. So I was
Yeah,
kind of waiting for that, but you know, it makes sense. It like I'm kind of glad that it wasn't like they had sex or anything, because like, a kiss like this kind of makes a lot more sense for what like both of them are, or at least for what Peacemaker's looking for with Amelia specifically, because he wants to have something real with her, and I feel like he would be the type of guy who'd be like, I want to wait a little bit with you.
yeah, and
But
I
with
like that.
only with her.
Right. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, yeah. And I like that it was just a kiss, too, because it doesn't guarantee that. I mean, like it seemed like later in the episode they were doing pretty well together, but it doesn't guarantee that they're going to be in a relationship now. Maybe they're just going to stay good friends and just have kissed at one point. That happens, like there's no. I don't really know for sure what's going to happen with their relationship going forward. But yeah, we finally got to see what Chris keeps referencing all season, what he's been asking Amelia the whole time, like, what did it mean to you? Did what mean to you? What happened on this boat? Well, they did kiss. Like they seemed like they pulled each other in. It wasn't like Chris pulled her in. It was like very mutual, but it just immediately like snaps her out of it, I guess, or like she immediately notices that it's a mistake.
Yeah, I think she ran away after that kiss because, she felt real genuine love in that moment. And, at this time in her life, she definitely doesn't feel like she deserves real genuine love or is capable of maintaining something with genuine real love. And having that moment also specifically with Peacemaker is tough for her because, Rick Flag Jr.
Yeah, that adds a whole nother like element to it because she had such a good relationship with him. They were like best friends, and now like he's gone because of Chris. So like she, it's her like she's battling between her feelings for Chris and her grieving for Rick Jr. Like it's a really tough situation for her.
Yeah. So, a lot revealed there in that short flashback. It was pretty insightful to why Peacemaker has been so hooked on this one moment with Amelia for the whole season.
Yeah,
Yeah, so the title of this episode is Full Nelson. What's your take on that, CJ? I know it's a wrestling move, right?
it is a wrestling move. Yeah,
With John Cena being a wrestler.
yeah,
So, how
yeah.
about that?
I imagine it's probably a reference to that. Yeah. Um, Also, the band that was playing in that flashback scene was called Nelson.
Yeah.
So that's obviously, I'm sure, another reference to that. That's actually um, a real band as well. I had never heard about them, but that's a real band. They've been around since like the 80s, 90s, I believe. Um, but yeah, I'm not sure what else it could really be a reference
Like
to.
for the finale title episode, my guess is because like the full Nelson is kind of like a finishing move, right?
Yeah,
It
it's like
is.
a submission hold,
Would you say that the ending of this episode is Peacemaker being put into said full Nelson?
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good point. That's probably what it is, honestly. That makes a lot of sense. I like that a lot. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I like that. I think you nailed it. I'm gonna be honest.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I just kind of thought of that right now.
I like it.
But yeah, so we cut back to present time. Peacemaker is in jail, and the whole crew is there to visit him, and he declines to see all of them, which is super insane to me. And he's calling himself the Angel of Death here, which I think is funny. Just super emo Peacemaker. The guard makes fun of him too. He's like, "Hey, we got the freaking Angel of Death in here, huh? That's crazy."
That was a funny line. I don't know why he went with that. They don't refer to it again for the rest of the episode, but he is down bad, man. He looks completely defeated, like he's like accepted his fate right now. And there's a shot of him like when he sits up on his bed. I was kind of laughing about it at first because it does look a little silly because like he sticks his legs out and they're like kind of hanging off the bed, but they're not bent and they're not hitting the floor. He kind of looks like a big child like sitting in a bed. And honestly, he probably kind of feels that way. Like the way that it was shot, the perspective of the shot makes him look very small in regards to like his surroundings, and that's probably how he feels in the moment.
Yep, it did seem fairly intentional
Yeah,
because
yeah,
like I feel like a more traditional way of shooting that scene would be him laying down, resting his head on the pillow and like looking up at the ceiling, contemplating what he's done. But
yeah,
no, I feel like they made him do that to
yeah, yeah,
to emphasize more of the point that you're making.
yeah. I thought that was an interesting shot.
Yeah. So after we cut away from Peacemaker in jail, we see Amelia and the Argus crew in the QUC, seeing which doors are unlocked inside of the QUC for a reason hidden to them because Rick Flag will not tell them. And he keeps saying, we're going to find what we're looking for. And when me and CJ were watching, we just kept thinking, what are they looking for? Why are they looking through? Because Economos says later in the episode, I thought we were doing this to prevent Metropolis from happening again, but now I feel like we're going to be the reason that it happens. Because if you wanted to find and contain the quantum unfolding chamber to prevent Metropolis, why would you then go inside by opening it and then open every door inside of it while also simultaneously holding open the QUC indefinitely, which is the same crime, keep in mind, that you just accused and jailed Peacemaker of. It's all suspicious, and anyone who isn't close to Rick Flag right now is also getting suspicious, even Sasha Bordeaux. And we'll
Yeah,
elaborate on that later.
yes, we will. Yeah, but Rick Flag is seeming like a very different person in this episode, in these last couple episodes. I feel like early on in the season, you could kind of reason with him in some ways. Obviously, he's grieving the loss of his son, but at this point, he's just taking it way too far. And like you said, he's sending the Argus crew into the QUC without them even knowing what they're looking for. And the arc that his character has taken from the start of this season to now, like obviously he has still been the villain of the episode, but he seems like he's an even bigger villain now than he was before.
Yeah, like you can be the antagonist, but like still kind of be justified in your side of things. And sometimes you can just actually be a bad guy. And like you said, like throughout the season initially, you can kind of understand where he's coming from. And like I do understand the aspect of not wanting something like Metropolis to happen again. But now you're just doing the exact same thing that you just jailed Peacemaker for. So you're a hypocrite.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely he is. And one of the Argus members, like one of the higher ups in a meeting with him, actually calls him out for this later on. He says like, wait, just a couple months ago you were vehemently against Lex Luthor and what he was doing, and now you're working with him side by side to basically do exactly what he was doing that got us all in this trouble in the first place. So like, he's just completely blindsided by his rage at this point.
Yeah. And a little bit after they're looking through the doors, Economos says to Bordeaux, hey, your boyfriend's a dickhead. And Bordeaux clarifies that her and Flag are not dating, which, good on you, girl. He's a red flag.
Ah, he is a red flag.
He's a
Rick
red flag.
Rick the red flag.
Red flag Rick. Wow, that was good. I'm glad you caught that.
That was really good.
So again, we cut back to the Argus crew and Judo Masters opening doors, and I love that he's still in his actual suit, in the like hazmat suit as well. Like, come on, man, it's okay. You don't have to double up.
Yeah, man, he is putting himself through a lot, and I don't imagine Argus told him that he has to wear the suit. At least I hope not. Maybe he just doesn't have anything else to wear, but he is putting himself through a lot.
Yeah, I wouldn't rule it out for Argus to treat him a little differently.
Yeah.
And during this whole expedition that they're on, like walking through the quantum unfolding chamber, Agent Flurry starts telling this random strip club story with Cupid doll, and it just came out of nowhere. But like, it was pretty funny. But the actor that plays Flurry is probably the only guy who could have made these lines work. Let's be real.
Yeah, yeah, it was definitely weird, but he made it work because he's good at what he does. But yeah, I feel like with the Langston Fleury character, when James Gunn called Tim Meadows to do the character, he like didn't tell him anything about the character. And he didn't have anything in the script. He was just like, "Hey, go out on screen and be funny and say some stuff and riff." And just that's kind of what he's done for most of his scenes. I feel like.
Yeah, I just nothing from this scene gets elaborated on from, so it
Yeah,
just feels kind of pointless, and it goes on for a little bit, and like some of the bits are funny, like when Cupid doll tells him to shut up, and he asks Amelia like, "Hey, can you back me up here?" And she's like, "Nah, I kind of want to hear the end of this story now. I'm interested." Like that was funny because I wouldn't expect Amelia to say that, so like that part was funny, but just I wish we could have had more important, impactful conversations that like give us more. I want more to chew
yeah.
on. I'm chewing on a pretty lean bone here.
Yeah, I totally agree. I do wish there's a little bit more. And Amelia's reaction was funny. That did help the scene a little bit. But it did kind of feel like the producers were thinking, okay, we need a scene of them walking through the QUC because they're going to a door. But we don't want to just have it be super quiet and nobody's talking. So just have Langston Fleury just like make up a story and just talk for like 2 minutes. And that's kind of how it went until they got to the door.
Yeah. And in between these scenes of them going through the doors and stuff, we also get a quick scene verifying that Lex Luthor is overlooking all of Argus's progress and giving notes from either prison or an undisclosed location. So he's clearly gaining some sort of power and influence, from this whole project, which I feel like is definitely setting up an aspect of Man of Tomorrow to a degree.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I think that's a good point. That probably will play into that movie. And yeah, we see several times like people coming up to Rick Flag and giving him notes and giving him like a briefing on what's happening. So clearly, Lex Luthor, even though he's behind bars, still able to pull the strings and do what he needs to do without even having to be there in person.
Yeah, man, just that talk that he had with Rick Flag is really doing numbers for him.
Yeah, yeah, it
Yeah,
really is.
yeah, it's just wild to see these two working together now.
It is pretty crazy to see the two of them, yeah, working together. But I mean, I hope we get more of it because I think it's pretty cool. I think it's a pretty cool duo. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. It is a cool duo. They definitely can do a lot of evil stuff together. Although
Yeah.
I do feel like in Man of Tomorrow, something's gonna happen that's gonna get Rick Flag Sr. killed. And that's what's gonna make Lex Luthor join Superman and be like, okay, you know what? There's a metahuman threat happening here, and we need a metahuman to fix it.
Mm, yeah.
But still give me my green suit.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I want to know how that's going to come into play. But
Someone's gonna build it for him, or he'll build it himself. No, he'll hire someone to build it for him. I
yeah,
I
probably.
haven't seen him do anything himself outside of command others to do things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what he's best at.
Yeah. So we finally get a door that opens, and we open to Candyland. And there are little critters in there, which CJ theorized when we were watching could be the imps that Earth X's top trio referenced in the small conversation that they had in the living room. But if this is Candyland, then our protagonists are the candy, and these critters are the ones eating the candy because they start biting everybody and cutting their ropes to trap them inside the universe while simultaneously closing the door to the quantum unfolding chamber. And they actually manage to break Cupid Doll's mask, and they start eating his face.
That was brutal. That was a brutal watch for sure. Um, yeah, this was crazy. I was not expecting this from the door at all. Um, Especially like this being the first door they opened with how nice it looked on the outside. It was a beautiful looking door. And even like at first glance, when you walk in, it looks super enticing and it looks great. And it kind of reminded me of Chris's experience with Earth X, because he was very intrigued by it at the start, by all the glitz and glamour by it, and all the praise that he was getting blinded by. And but no matter how much good there is in the world, there's going to be some very bad too. Because if you don't, if you're blinded by all the beautiful colors and the pretty stuff and the praise that you're getting, then you're not going to be able to see the imps crawling around trying to eat your face, and you're not going to be able to see the Hitler mural in the Argus facility. But there's a lot that we don't know about this QUC still, and there's a lot to explore.
100%. And also just like the fact that humans again and again have such ignorant confidence in what they do, and it always proves to be, more often than not, a horrible outcome or horrible consequences for said confidence, because they could have opened the door, sent in a little drone at first, and gotten a little evidence, or sent out some sort of bait or something without sending in all of the agents. But the point of all of this is to just show that the higher ups at Argus, they do not care about the lives of any of these agents exploring the quantum unfolding chamber. Like, anybody outside of Flag's inner circle, which, keep in mind, now is like half of Luthor Corps now. Like, literally, the Secretary of Defense is like, yeah, we're just going to get rid of most of their prison sentences, and they're going to secretly work on this whole project. And like, that's just crazy. Like, things are just getting so corrupt so quickly, and like, we don't even have time to process it. Like, things are just happening.
There is so much going on, and obviously we see like the Argus agents being put in these terrible situations. They're the ones being forced to go in and do the dirty work, and actually like put themselves in danger. And then you see Rick and the higher ups and the rich people who are like just having drinks, they're partying, they're like snorting cocaine off the desk. And the person who's stuck in the middle of it is Sasha Bordeaux, because she's interacting with both groups, because she's very close to Rick Flag, but she's also in charge of kind of like briefing and supervising the people or the agents going into the QUC. So she's seeing their experience of it. And one of the Argus agents even like goes up to her after one of them died, and she's like, why are you sending us in there? What are we going in there for? And it's the first time that Sasha kind of like questions Rick Flag's morals and like his process of doing this and what he's doing. I thought that was really interesting, because she definitely goes on an arc in this episode for sure.
Yeah, and also remember, earlier on in the season, she was willing to kill Peacemaker because probably the information that Rick Flag gave her, this is for the betterment of the people of the United States, for the world. We need to eliminate this threat. She was willing to do that. And now she is currently in real time seeing flaws in his arguments and his motives now.
Yeah, this was a big moment for her.
Yeah. So we come back to Economos, and he's looking for Eagly in all of the rooms inside of Peacemaker's house. And he's currently so sus of Argus for the reasons that we just gave. And he's asking Emilio, okay, what are they looking for? When we're going through all these doors, what are they looking for? And she says, resources. And I'm like, great. We're immediately colonizing new land again. Like, why do we always immediately go, oh, new land, resources, baby, we need resources? Like,
yeah,
we don't learn a freaking thing sometimes.
Yeah, man, it's human instinct for some reason for people, like,
but it's the human instinct of those in power, of those
right.
willing to do anything to preserve themselves and further advance themselves. Like these are the habits that they engage in, but eventually, like, doing these things will fail because enough people will start to realize what's going on, and they're like, okay, y'all are probably going to come after me eventually when you guys find a reason to justify it, so we're just going to take you down now before that happens. And it seems like that's inevitably what is kind of leading up to Man of Tomorrow to a degree, but just like, it's just crazy that Argus is just immediately like, yeah, we're going to tell them we're going after resources. And the craziest thing about this is that's not even exactly the reason in the first place. It's somehow an even worse reason, and we'll get to that later on in the episode. But it's just, they're so corrupt, man.
It's so bad, man. Yeah, it's they see something over there and they think, okay, we need that here. Let's just take it from them. And it's also the ignorance of them and the higher ups to think that they can do it and like stand up to whatever else is out there and that they're not going to be overmatched. And it's, I mean, yeah, it's an ugly pattern, you know.
Yeah. And I do applaud James Gunn for being able to like put commentary on some of these things. You know,
Yeah,
like while we didn't get some resolution on some plot beats, a lot of the things that do happen in this episode still are done well.
yeah, absolutely.
And Economos asks Amelia, you know, when is anything that we've done for Argus been for the good of the people or for anyone for that matter besides Argus themselves? And it's a fair point. Like Argus has been super corrupt lately.
Yeah, yeah, they absolutely have, and it is a very good point. And it's they've been very corrupt, and it's starting to turn on them because people are realizing, the people that are working for them are realizing. John realizes it, Sasha realizes it, and it's going to come bite them.
Exactly. So Economos finally finds Eagly in the closet, dude. I wanted to cry watching this, bro. I felt so bad for Eagly, bro. It was so I didn't think seeing a sad Eagly could make me so sad, bro.
It was very, very sad, man. He is just sitting in the corner, just pouting, sulking. Said they say he's been depressed ever since Chris got put in jail. Like, this was brutal, dude. I hate saying him like that. Just a couple episodes, it was Adrian crying on Adebayo's shoulder, and now it's Eagly. Like, they're going for all my boys.
Yeah, dude, Chris needs to realize everyone wants him around, man.
Yeah, yeah. They're trying. They've tried so hard so many times to prove to him that they want him around them, and he just can't believe it.
Yeah, but because of Eagly's response to this and the fact that he makes the point that he's been like this since Peacemaker's been gone, Economos all makes the point that since he's been out of jail, he thinks that Peacemaker possibly seeing his brother very close to dying again in Earth X messed him up on an elemental level. And
Yeah,
definitely,
yeah,
yeah,
I'd say so. Yeah,
yeah,
I think that's fair. Yeah, after immediately watching his dad die too, like that whole day in general was an extremely traumatizing day for him.
yeah, dude, definitely. And I'm really glad that John's at least able to see that.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
So while Economos is pointing this out, we cut to Adrian, and his mom is telling him in his secret room that Leota is here. And bro, he is so mean to his mom. What is up with him?
I
We don't
don't
find
get
out
it.
why either. That's what kind of makes me mad too. We don't
Yeah,
find out why. Like literally the final thing that we talk about in regards to him and his relationship with his mom is Leota saying, I'm paraphrasing, you need to see that she is a nice person. And he's like, fuck her.
yeah,
Excuse my language. But that's literally the last thing that they elaborate in their relationship. And that's kind of how they view the relationship anyway. They just said, F it.
yeah, yeah. Seriously, there's no explanation for it. We get no payoff. It's, I mean, a couple times his friends will be like, "Hey, stop being an asshole to your mom," but like, we don't get a reason for why he's so mean to her. He cares so much about his friends, but he cares so little about his mom for some reason, you know? Like, and I know obviously he kills people, he's a vigilante, he's got skewed morals, but I don't know. I don't like it, man. I don't like it.
Yeah, especially that like he's shown he's capable of being very kind and like willing to do anything for people. So I just think it's weird that we don't have a reason as an audience to like understand why he's so mean to his mom, but able to be so kind to other people. I just think that's weird.
Yeah, yeah, I do too.
So Leota's telling Adrian, yo, we gotta bail out Peacemaker. He's in jail. Not good. And we gotta use her blood money because his bail's probably in the millions, let's be honest.
Yeah,
And
it's
he's
up there
like,
for sure.
no, that'll put a curse on all of us and our future relatives. I think all of them.
Everybody, everyone
Yeah.
you know, everybody you care about.
And the fact that he believes this, I just think is hilarious. Like, he's very definitive on his beliefs, but like they contradict each other so often.
Yeah, he's very confident being wrong, and we've seen that many times throughout this season. He is very he sticks to his beliefs. Nobody convinces him of anything,
Yeah,
and if he believes something, then it's got to be true.
yeah, literally. So because of this, Leota eventually uses reverse psychology to convince him to use the blood money, and later says, "Hey yo, take something bad and turn it into something good." Which, dude, the way she's able to like put things into a different perspective, really good.
Yeah, man. Yeah, she is very good at that. She's had some really good lines all season. And like in these last couple episodes, especially like this episode, there are a few times where she said something that I was like, wow, whoa, she's spinning right now. She's making
Literally.
a very good point. Like and I'm really glad that she has that depth in her character.
Me too, yeah. They definitely wrote her really well.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
So because Leota is able to convince Adrian to use the blood money, they use the money to bail out Peacemaker. And it's funny because he doesn't even want to leave. Initially, he's like, just give them the money back. I don't want to go. He's like, what, you think this is a motel? Get out of here.
Yeah, he's like, no, that's not how it works. You have to go. We got someone else checking into this room.
Yeah, so wait.
How
If they
did
went to go bail him out, did they
uh
just leave and not drop him off? Because
oh
remember, he shows up at the house and Economos is like,
yeah,
Peacemaker, and he's like, "Hey, I'm just picking up Eagly,
that is
and then I'm
true.
leaving." And then they're like, "Why'd you let him go?
Yeah.
Where were they? I thought they just bailed him out."
That is a really good point. I didn't even notice that, but that is very strange.
Like, how did they lose him?
Does it work like that? Like, if you bail someone out, do you get to just like take them home?
I mean, in the movies,
Huh?
at least, like you made bail, and they're like, Who paid for my bail?" And then they cut
Yeah,
to the person who
yeah,
paid for your bail.
that is true. Yeah, I don't know what they are doing here. That is weird.
Yeah, I don't know. If anyone would like to correct us, feel free.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't. Ah.
Enough said. Yeah, pretty much. I agree with that. With what he just said.
So yeah, somehow Peacemaker gets bailed, but Leota and Adrian aren't there, and Peacemaker is able to get to his house. Economos is there, but Peacemaker just picks up Eagly and leaves. And also all of his stuff is already moved out of his house, I guess, as
Yeah,
well. They also mentioned that. While they still can't find him, like I don't like, is he a ninja now? Like I don't, how is he able to just evade everyone? That it's just a little weird.
it is a little
They're
strange.
so
Yeah,
mad at Economos, like it's his fault.
everything is his fault. It's all on him.
So they can't track him, and Amelia has to get called back into the quantum unfolding chamber, and we see Glebe again.
Yep.
Another plot line that I'm sad we're not going to get any more context on. I wanted to find out why Peacemaker's so mad at him or mean to him.
Yeah.
We don't really find out anything about Glebe or why he's constantly throwing vermin in the incinerator. We get none of it.
Yeah, we didn't get any like expansion on that, but I guess he was kind of just like a throwaway character, literally, because that's kind of all he did in the show.
There it
But
is.
yeah, that was weird.
Yep. So again, Argus is sending more guys to open more doors, and we finally see the black hole. And it was just Judo Master and some of other Argus agents almost getting sucked into a black hole. Not Keith during his attempt to return to our universe for revenge like we wanted to happen, which is fine. Things don't always have to happen the way we want them to. And I'm just happy that Judo Master is okay, that he wasn't one of the agents who suffered a gruesome death like some did. But I am just sad that, like, there wasn't really any Earth X related plot lines. in this episode. And I feel like
Yeah.
this was one of the ways they could have, because also the reason I thought it was Keith was because like the suit in, like, we couldn't really make out what the suit was in the picture that we saw. And it was red and yellow, and that's the same color suit that they're wearing in their hazmat suits. So it looked like Keith's suit, so that's why I theorized it. So I just, I missaw. I guess, I was just wrong, but I just, I wish that happened.
Yeah, yeah. I wish we got a little more with there was like just a compilation of them just like looking through different doors and finding different weird dimensions. There was that one with the giant spiders with the skulls on their heads. There was like a zombie world too, but like it was all very short, like just very quick scenes. Not doesn't play much into the plot. I guess they were just released to like get people to watch the show. We basically we got clickbaited essentially, pretty much in that aspect by that. But
Yeah. And like for the episode's runtime, I thought we were gonna get like so much juicy content because of that. And a lot of lot of the content that we were hoping to get, we got like very short of, if any at all.
yeah, yeah, and I do wish we got more Earth X2 because of how much it played into the first couple episodes, or the first really 7 episodes of the season. But yeah, we got no update on Keith. We got no real like references except for like one or two to like things that happened in Earth X. They they seemingly completely forgot about all the people wherever Keith thought Leota escaped from, like the people that they're keeping there. They kind of just left. They left Earth X and kind of didn't look back in that direction, honestly. So yeah, there
Like,
was a lot of stuff that they could have gone with.
yeah, dude, imagine if it had gone this way. Like, one of them says to, like, hey, like, I know we got a lot going on, but in the universe that we just came from, guys, it's a Nazi universe. They have a bunch of minorities locked up. Like, can we send some people or something like that? Can we do anything about it? And I feel like they could have possibly played that into Rick Flag's turn into villainy and be like, look, that doesn't really matter right now. Like, I get there are people suffering, but that's a different universe. Like, that's their own bullcrap. So
Hmm.
I feel like that could have been a way to like throw away the plot while still involving it into our story.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's. I feel like they left a lot of Earth X on the table, like with how much they could have gone back and done. Like Rick Flag Jr. is there, and Rick Flag Sr. I think doesn't even know about that still, because like if he knew about that, that's the first place he's going. But they just walk right through the QUC just looking for anything else, honestly.
Yeah, man, and not enough communication was relayed about what was really going on between both universes, considering how important to the plot it was.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're completely right.
Also, the song during this whole sequence, guys, excuse my language for a second, but I'm gonna go verbatim here because I really feel I need to emphasize this. Gotta stop fucking, gotta stop fucking my heart in the ass. What?
Sentence I've never heard before, never thought I would hear before.
Like,
Hopefully never
usually
hear again.
I approve of James Gunn's song choices, but this was a wholehearted miss.
Yeah, this was. There's not much interpretation needed to like dig through. It's kind of just it doesn't hit. It's
Yeah,
gonna.
yeah, and I get what the lyrics are going for because like the song is trying to emphasize the fact that Argus is screwing everyone else over. So I get that, but just
I
like it ruined the tone of some of the scenes that needed to have a certain tone.
Yeah, it sort of. I feel like it sort of took me out of a couple of the scenes. Like some of them are like a little more blurry to me because I was just like, "What is this song that is
Yeah,
playing right now?"
yeah, and I rewatched it later that night with my girlfriend, and when the song came on, like she just looked over to me like, did he just did that was that just said? I was like, yeah, it and it's the chorus.
And he says it a lot, so get used to it.
So yeah, and during this whole sequence, Flag is just loving the results of all the chaos that's happening. He's like, wow, there is so much to explore in this multiverse. It is incredible. While all of the agents are just dying, like CJ mentioned before, there was a zombie universe. One of the agents got bit. He had to get popped in the head, which, hey, they handled that well. Good job. Smart, brutal, but smart. But again, Flag and crew could not care less. They could not. They are laughing, having a good time, like CJ said, snorting coke, just having a ball.
Yeah, he is unfazed at all, just completely blind to the danger that he's putting other people in, and the lives and the relationships that he's ruining. Like, he is really going full blown supervillain at this point, because now he has access to all of the power, essentially.
Literally. So eventually they find a planet that pretty closely resembles Earth, more or less, and they are hyped because we find out that this is actually what Argus has been looking for the whole time. And when Amelia brings the results back to Flag, he's ecstatic, but at the same time, he's so cold and distant about this whole thing to Amelia in this scene, and he won't share what the findings mean. He's so discreet with the information. And she's just so sus of this because, they were really close, at least seemingly, but now it just seemed like he really was just manipulating her to as a means to an end, to the bigger picture. And now, not only is Amelia super sus, Bordeaux is now even more sus. And they have a little glance at each other like, yo, you need to watch out. Like something's happening here. And then we cut to Rick Flag at the meeting with the Secretary of Defense. He's explaining to them that with the planet that Amelia found, they're going to turn it into what's called Project Salvation, where the planet will be used as a prison for metahumans, and they can open and close the door to this universe that contains this version of Earth whenever and wherever they want without needing the quantum unfolding chamber, making escape totally impossible because they can move the door whenever, wherever they want, setting up many metahuman conflicts to arise in the Man of Tomorrow movie.
Yeah. This is him explaining this plan, his master plan, like, was insane. I mean, he's come so far from episode 1, like, in terms of how much he's changed. He's just like gone complete supervillain now at this point. Like, this is a supremely evil thing to do, just locking up the people that you don't like or are threatened by in this completely other dimension, and them having no way to escape is like insane. I mean, we talk about him changing throughout the season, and his relationship with Amelia seemed like it was pretty good. He was treating her a lot differently than he
It
treats a
seemed
lot of other people.
genuine.
It did seem genuine. Yeah, it really did. And there was, like, most of the interactions they've had together, she keeps trying to address him in like a respectful way, because he's like her senior, or like her higher up, or has been. But he keeps saying, like, hey, just call me Rick, just please just call me Rick. And now this time she does call him Rick, and he's like thrown off. It's like he completely forgot about that. Like, he doesn't even see that anymore, and his relationship with her has completely changed. And Sasha Bordeaux has been there, like, watching it all and seeing it all unfold.
Yeah, man, he's definitely waving a different flag now.
Yep, he's waving a red flag now.
So Sasha Bordeaux is at this meeting. She hears all of this because Rick Flag doesn't know that she's been kind of leaning on flipping sides at this point. So once Bordeaux finds out the true intentions behind Flag, I mean, like, during the moment she finds out the planet's going to be a prison, you can literally see when you can see like her mentally say, oh shit, he's a bad guy. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, the facade is starting to flip. For a while, she was very close to him. They had a very unique relationship, we'll say, compared to like the other employees that was working for him. And now that she realizes, like, now that she's able to see his true intentions and what he actually wants, she's starting to realize that this is not something that I want to support.
Yeah. So after the meeting, they're walking out, and he asks her like, "Hey, you coming to dinner?" She's like, "No, I think I'm gonna call it an early night." Like, dude, that tone is like, "I never want to talk to you again" type stuff. He's like, "Oh, okay, well, maybe you will see you later." Maybe.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. Props to her for setting that boundary, like for standing up. She is clearly not in the mood to go out, given what she had just heard, which is very different from the rest of the people in Argus. Like the rest of the guys in that meeting were excited. They were happy. They were going out for drinks and dinner to celebrate. Like what there's this crazy thing they're gonna do, and she is really the only one in the position to know what's going on to acknowledge that it's a bad thing.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that like she was able to like inadvertently gain Rick Flag's trust at during this time to where she's able to find out this information at the same time that she's planning on uh I mean in his eyes become a traitor, but she's trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, yeah,
So immediately after this scene, like after she says maybe and walks away, we cut to Amelia, and she is injured from something that we never find out about. It is never explained. The last scene that we saw from her before this scene was her handing the files to Flag, and later on, her and Bordeaux are talking, and she asks where it comes from. She brushes it off and doesn't give it an answer. I just think it's so weird that she just has like a big gash on her face, and we get no answer as to why or where it comes from. My only thought could be like, did she get in a bar fight? But like, I thought she's past that at this point. That's what the last couple episodes have been about.
yeah. I was kind of thinking the same thing. I was very confused by this as well. They we never get a reason for it at all. I don't know if it's supposed to just be like implied that she got in another bar fight because we saw her get in bar fights all season long. But like you said, that she's been working on that and trying to move on from that. So I don't know what's going on there. It's very, very strange to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, Bordeaux calls Amelia. He's like, yo, we need to meet. And they meet at the burger joint that her and Peacemaker ate at in the flashback. And she tells her about Project Salvation's true intentions with it being a metahuman prison. And Sasha Bordeaux, she's scared because remember, she's also a metahuman. She's a cyborg. So while she denies that like she isn't bringing this up to just outright save herself, she doesn't want to support it anymore. Like she knows this is bad and she wants to fight against it, which is definitely hinting at her later on joining the fight with the 11th Street Kids near on at the end of the episode, which is I think pretty cool. I think
Yeah,
they definitely set up people switching sides very well.
yeah, yeah. I totally agree. And like sometimes people are like in the middle or working for both sides. Like Judo Master was kind of in that way. Economos is employed by Argus, but he's friends with Peacemaker trying to help him. Like I like that there was kind of a gray area there, and people kind of just support people based on what they personally believe. I kind of like that of the show, part of the show.
Yeah,
Um,
and also just kind of what's right in the moment.
yeah, totally. Yeah, what they're feeling in the moment for sure. Um, but yeah, this was like a big turning point. We had seen Sasha turning like in this episode and previous moments, but this was like the moment for her. Like she says, I don't want to spend my whole life fighting for a broken system, and like that's pretty much what she's been doing, and that's her interpretation of it. So she's trying to change that, and now she's going to Amelia for help because she knows that she can help her out.
Yeah, and I'm glad that, they are like teaming up to help each other out. I do think that's cool. But do you know why they met up here?
Um,
Because Bordeaux's like, hey, if you're hungry, get whatever you want. This place is good. And Amelia's like, yeah, it is good. I've been here one time, hinting at the flashback.
yeah,
So, like, why would Amelia, given the emotional vulnerability of the situation, go back to this specific burger joint, given that it's also near the boat? Or did Bordeaux just happen to pick the burger joint?
yeah.
What else?
There's really no like the scene wouldn't have been any different if they were at like Chili's or something. Like it would have been the same thing basically. I
Yeah,
don't know if it's
although
just
although I did love seeing the chicken sandwich sign.
yeah.
Like every
Yep.
time I saw it, it
One
kind of
chicken
took me
sandwich.
out. They just like they cut just chicken sandwich.
Got you.
Thanks, BT.
Pilot, we're going to Wendy's.
Why?
Chicken sandwich.
Oh man, dude, like why did this episode just like completely fumble writing certain parts, but ace writing some other parts? Like
Yeah.
like it's so polarized.
Yeah, it almost feels like a different person wrote this episode, but they say at the beginning, written and directed by James Gunn. So he has he always has final say, but he was very involved with this. But for some reason, it does feel a little bit different.
Yeah. So like you said, Leota, Bordeaux, and Amelia, they all team up and are trying to figure out some ideas on what they can do to, figure out what to do about Argus. And they also have Adrian's funds now from his excursions of, killing gangsters and drug dealers and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. That's definitely setting up them creating that agency that they're going to do later on in the episode. And during this time, Amelia goes in the bathroom and she sees the ticket from the night of the boat. And we get more context to that scene where it shows that they kiss and then she ran off. And that's guys. That's all the context we get for the boat scene for the rest of the episode. They kiss and she runs off. That's why Peacemaker's been asking the whole time, like, did that night mean anything to you? Because she just ran off.
Yeah, that's that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yep, that's it.
Yep, that's all.
It. And then we immediately just cut to Leota and her partner Key, randomly.
Yeah, this was
like
weird.
it's just a really random cut,
Yeah.
They didn't bring it up at all up to this point, and then she just like ends up at her apartment.
Yeah, I feel like they handled this storyline interestingly between Leota and Kia, because like they address it very early on. It was like the first or second episode where we see Leota and Kia were living together. Now they're separated. Leota's not moving on, and then we don't get anything for like several episodes except for like a text message and then one conversation with Judo Master and then this scene. And that's, I feel like there's kind of some missing there. I think they could have done a little bit more with this relationship.
Yeah, and what's really interesting, like given all of that, is this scene is still incredible.
Yeah,
it's a really well done scene by both of them, and it's still written really well. I just wish there was like more leading into it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, they could have built up to it a little bit more. Even if there was like a line earlier in the episode where someone was, or like Amelia asked Leota, like, "Hey, are you gonna talk to Kia tonight?" or something like that. Like if they had sprinkled it in there somewhere, I feel like that could have,
like, Peacemaker could have asked her about it at any point, and he never really did.
Yeah, they could have built up a little bit more of the suspense for it, but they kind of just like threw the scene in there.
Yeah, but the conversation that she did have with Judo Master, where he mentions like who's the one really crushing the person's dreams. That conversation really helped her see that while they do love each other very much, it's not enough for them to be able to stay together, because either of them, if either of them were to be living their true best lives, then one of them would either be feeling trapped or disappointed or in danger. So they need to let each other go so they can be truly happy and live their best lives, because that's what's best for them. And that's very mature. And I do think that's awesome that that's the way that they handled the relationship, and are able to, get them going on to the right paths in their lives. And I feel bad for them, but I wish there was kind of more leading up to it, like I said.
Yeah, it, despite not having much leading up to it, it was a great scene regardless. As you said, like obviously these two love each other very much, but it takes more, like I think Leota says, like it takes more than love for a healthy relationship or something along those lines. And like it just, no matter how much they want it to work, it's not going to work out for the exact reasons that you said. And it's just not possible for them to stay together in a healthy relationship. And it was hard. It was very hard because they both care about each other so much, but they know it can't work. And both of these two were just acting their asses off. This was a great scene.
Yeah, Leota is very good in almost every scene she's in, and also her partner did a really good job, like Like, she understands why Leota's doing it, but like she's still just devastated that like this has to be the way it is.
Yeah, yeah. It's like she's hurt, but she's not necessarily mad because she understands. At least that's like how it's kind of portrayed. But yeah,
Yeah, and she
they both did
agrees
really
that
well.
like, you know, like things do need to happen this way because like our lives just don't align.
Yeah, yeah, really unfortunate, man.
Yeah. So we cut back to Bordeaux, Amelia, and Economos. And they're like, Economos, you need to distract everyone while Bordeaux uses her clearance to locate Peacemaker because we don't have clearance to Peacemaker, you and I. So, you know, she needs to look on the computer, but Sydney Happerson and all of the Lex Luthor guys, they can have direct view of our monitors. So you need to distract them. Multiple times during this scene, you know, Economos, he did his best, but multiple times during this scene, if you're going to set up like the stakes of this scene to be, if they see our screen mission failed, don't show an angle of them being able to see the screen as is. Guys.
Yeah, they almost had to look away from the screen not to see it. They didn't have to really move in order to see what was going on. They were literally like a couple steps up, almost directly behind them, and they're super suspicious too. To the Emilia and Sasha just crunched over the computer.
Yeah, they don't even walk in to be like, hey guys. Like, they just walk in, don't say anything. Economos starts asking about a prawns game that never happened, which again, you know, he's horrible at improv, but he's trying. Again, I love how much Economos still tries despite the circumstances and the type of person he is. I love him for that. But as soon as they somehow avoid detection of them locating Peacemaker, they all walk away at the same time, not saying anything. No one checks the monitor. No one asks any questions. Nobody's weirded out by the fact that they all just walked in. Economos yapped about literally nothing. And then all them three just walked back out minutes later, not saying a beat.
Yeah,
I just don't buy that.
yeah. It was very
Like
hard
we
to
need to
believe.
move the plot along scene.
Yeah, for sure. Like,
And I'm sorry, like it breaks me to be so critical of this show. Like we've never been this critical of Peacemaker the entire season. Like we've been so supportive and like understanding of the different angles that the show's been taking and trying to like, you know, justify it. And like I don't think we've been reaching. Like most of them have been pretty good, but just this episode has been so tough to like understand when you really break it down.
yeah, it is a little all over the place. It can be hard to like to break down for sure. And I think there were a lot of expectations going into like these last three episodes, but the
Super
last
high
episodes,
expectations, totally.
super high expectations. Part of that is how much James Gunn was talking about it. He would not stop talking about it. He said that episode 6 and episode 8 are two of his favorite things he's ever done in the industry, I believe. So
Dude,
like
he Obi-Wan the fuck out of us. He
he
was
did.
like, technically I wasn't lying from a certain point of view.
Yeah, and like from every like with the cameos, he said they're gonna be big cameos. It turns out that's really all they were. They were kind of just cameos. Like the Lex Luthor thing was cool, but he was only on screen for a couple minutes, and having that, I believe that was episode 6 when that happened. So with 2 more episodes left, it kind of
That doesn't feel like the finale.
yeah, no, it doesn't. It feels like there's what else is there going to be more like. But this was a very grounded, character-driven episode, I'd say, than some of the more action episodes.
Yeah, which isn't a bad thing. I would
Yeah,
love it if the writing was consistent, which
yeah,
it isn't. So
yeah,
like that makes it that much more frustrating.
yeah, yeah. If it's going to be like low action, high drama, and like character-based, then the writing's got to be really good. But there were some plot holes for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, we cut to Peacemaker at the motel that he's been staying at throughout the episode. And because Bordeaux was able to seamlessly find the location. I guess they didn't even need Economos to distract at all. It seemed like they're able to find Peacemaker's location because he has a chip in his head from the Suicide Squad movie. So they locate him, and Leota's like, "Hey, man, don't go. Where you going?" And he's like, "I gotta go. I don't want to talk right now." Then Amelia pops out, and then Economos pops out, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, guys, stop! I don't want to talk to you." And then Vigilante, like a running back, just tackles him into the door and gets him on the ground and then tases him. And then finally they can get him down, and we cut to him in the hotel room, and they're like, "Bro, really? Like, we've been trying to see you for so long, and this is what we have to do to see you? Like, this is ridiculous."
Yeah, they literally have to force him to the ground and force him in the room in order to get him to talk to them,
Yeah,
because
man.
they keep trying to show him how much they care about him and how much they need him in their lives, and he just keeps trying to push them away.
He's acting confused, like, "I don't know why you guys are here. I should have never included myself in this whole group in the first place." And he reveals to them that he believes on a cosmic magical level that he is cursed. And they're like, "Chris, that's stupid." And he's like, "Don't call my shit stupid. I killed my brother, and then I killed my dad, and then I killed my brother, and then I killed my dad, and then I killed myself. So you tell me, how the heck am I not cursed?" And then Leota says, "Look, every time you've made a bad decision, it's because you were not listening to your true instincts. You were not listening to your true self. You knew it was going bad going into that alternate universe. You know that it was bad to fight your brother, and you knew it was bad to kill Rick Flag. And you knew all these things anyway because you were told to do so, even though you knew it felt wrong. So when you act on your true best self instincts, you're a completely different and better person." And I just gotta say, props to Leota for being able to see things and put them in a perspective like that. Like I've been saying earlier, she's really good at doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. She's very good at interpreting situations a little differently than other people do, and like in a more uh, seems like she's kind of like stepping back and looking at it in a bigger picture, or like she's she's able to bring a perspective that not a lot of other people in the group can, and she's also very good at articulating it in a way that other people can understand it. Like that was another a great line by Leota. Every time someone dies around you, it's because you're not listening to yourself. And like that's true. That's true in the case of him listening to Amanda Waller to kill Rick Flag Jr. and listening to his dad to fight his brother. Like this is all true. She's completely right, but Chris keeps blaming himself for these things happening. Like he even said it to Keith, like it's not your world or my world that's messed up. It's me. I'm the problem. Bad things happen to people around me when I'm around. And Leota's trying to like explain to him like you are not causing these things to happen. These things are happening to you, and you are experiencing these things, and it's not the fault
Yeah.
of your own.
Yeah, he's more or less being a tool of those he's being influenced by.
Yeah, 100%. He's like basically just as much of a victim as the people around him.
Yeah, I guess he really is more so peacekeeper rather than peacemaker.
Yeah, maybe you were right.
But yeah, and honestly, without Leota, none of this finale is possible. Because think about it. Leota got Adrian to feel comfortable using the blood money that he's been hoarding down in his basement for who knows how long to be able to get the funds to be able to get this whole thing going. And then she takes it upon herself to realize she needs to free Key from this situation to make it possible so that she has no guilt moving forward. So she removes Key from the situation in the most lovely way possible. And then, because of Amelia, she's able to accurately pitch ideas to Bordeaux to get that whole idea moving so then they can locate Peacemaker, so then they can finally bring him in, so then they can get this whole new thing going. But when Peacemaker's feeling down and out, I'm going to use my word magic to convince him that he is actually a victim of circumstance and this isn't all his fault. And
Yeah.
I just think without her, none of this is possible.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think she's been she's made a huge impact on the show and the people in this show, and she's been one of my favorite characters, like without a doubt.
Yeah, and not to mention her emotions and acting in the scene were just top notch.
Yeah,
Everyone
Danielle.
else being there, was great too, but like, she was definitely like the catalyst of everything.
Yeah, 100%. Danielle Brooks is just incredibly talented.
Definitely. So the way the scene ends emotionally was really weird for me because Leota asked Peacemaker, like, look, when you listen to yourself, what happens? And he's like, nothing. And he's like, come on, that's BS. You know that's not true. And then everyone else, kind of chimes in, is like, I love you. This is why you're awesome. This is what we do for you. And they're like, we're tired of listening to other people, F them, F Argus. We're going to go do our own thing, but we can't do it without you. So, are you willing to join us? Like, can you do this with us? And then it just cuts to them walking out looking very monotone, very
Yeah,
like nothing happened. Like, it was, the emotions of them leaving the motel were really off considering what the actual outcome of the results seemed to be. Anyway, after they walk out, Peacemaker's like, wait, Amelia, I need to ask you something. And she's like, what? Did the boat mean anything to you? And then I think she's resembling the audience at this point, when she's like, again with the boat? He's like, you won't answer. And she's like, fine. Yes, you asshole. It meant everything to me. Okay? So then Peacemaker walks back into his hotel room and he's like, yay, awesome, woohoo. He's all happy because he finally finds out that he means something to her. And then we end up finding out that this is when that they start creating their own whole agency and stuff. But if they're making their agency, why are they not hyped walking out the door? Or if the whole decision weighed upon Peacemaker deciding if Amelia likes him or not for him to feel back getting involved in the first place, why is he not then like going back and saying to everyone, wait, no, I want to do this? Why is he going back into the hotel room and just celebrating on his own? You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like there wasn't something happening there to tell us like, oh yeah, this is what's happening. Like, we only found out what's happening after we actually saw them making the agency in the first place. We're like, oh, okay, so they are doing it. Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah. It does feel like there's a little something missing from the end of this scene. Like, this is the big decision they make. They're all gonna come back together,
Yeah,
and
no,
they're gonna
like
do
this is the big emotional beat of the
Yeah,
finale, more or
yeah.
less. But before we cut to the final scene, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, but the way that it was played was like it wasn't really like that. They were all just like walking just straight, just monotone, like you said. They were all obviously came in their own cars, so they're all like walking in different directions. It's weird visually too, because like they just made this pact to be together and come together, and they're immediately going separate ways, literally.
That's
Like
a really good point.
it is so it's very interesting. I don't know if that's if obviously like they all got there separately, because if they all got there in one car together, that would be suspicious. So there's a reason for why they all had to split up, but it just feels like it was foreshadowing to the future. Maybe it's not going to go well. Maybe they're going to get into fights or something. It feels like there's either some meaning behind it, or it was just a weird part of the scene.
Yeah, and James Gunn, he's usually one of the best at orchestrating group dynamics. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy, Suicide Squad, and a majority of the scene with the 11th Street Kids have been pretty good throughout this season. So it's really weird that there's like this weird emotional misstep happening on the finale of this season that like has been the #1 show on HBO Max for multiple weeks. Like it's not just any show, like it's something that a lot of people are tuning into and seemingly giving a crap about, like deep into the show near the finale. So it's weird that like on such a big moment that like there seems to be this misstep that we're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. It feels like that should have been like the way we reacted when we saw all of them like actually starting to set up the business. That's how we should have felt when they all agreed to start it. Because but we didn't feel that way because it wasn't clear enough that that's what they were doing, because nobody else was excited. They didn't, like, they weren't looking forward to it. We didn't really know what was going on. Like, they just agreed to do this great thing, but nobody seems like they're happy about it, really, you know.
In the moment. But then once we cut to them setting it all up, it's all
Yeah, now they're having a
awesome,
great time.
woohoo. Yeah, and Flurry is in there, Bordeaux is in there, Judo Master's in there, along with the whole original crew. So it's awesome. I do love this new crew, and I do love the dynamics. We finally have Adrian being able to talk to someone to do animal facts with Agent Flurry. I could watch a whole spin-off of them too, just going at it, going on little side quests. That would be great. So I'm really happy that that dynamic is there. But I wish there was like this much positive emotion and like leading to something cool happening just the scene before.
Yeah, but I really like this group. I really like the additions of the new people. Like, Sasha had a great character arc in this episode we mentioned, so it's cool that she's back. She's officially on their side.
Yeah.
I'm glad Judo Master came back. He didn't have a huge role in the season, but he was great when he was involved. And Flurry is gonna be a lot of fun with Adrian. I really want some outtakes or some more scenes between the two of them, because that's gonna be really entertaining.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. But, we don't have a season 3 confirmed right now. So
Yeah.
I really hope everyone being upset that there isn't a season 3 will make James Gunn catch a hint like, do I
Maybe I
give the
should.
people what they want, or do I follow the framework that I already have? But like, it seems like the framework can be pretty adaptable depending on how far in the future it is. So I don't know why we can't see a season 3 in 2027 or 2028.
Yeah, yeah. I think we could. Even though there's like nothing confirmed, or he hasn't said that anything's in the works, I would. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people would like a season 3 of Peacemaker. And you're right about how he's been sort of flexible so far with what he does and what he plans, like based on audience reaction. I'm sure they are going to be listening to people's responses and listening to feedback and taking it into consideration. So I think although I'm sure he has like a plan for what is going to happen in the DCU, he's probably going to be able to change things when he needs to.
Yeah, I hope so too, man. So anyway, yeah, they're opening up their own agency, and at the same time, we get a Foxy Shazam concert. We get the full intro song.
Yeah.
Performed.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have time for this. Guys, like I love that Foxy Shazam was able to get on screen time. I think that's awesome. And I'm all for him having the full performance, because I did enjoy the full performance. But why are we allocating so much time for it when there was not enough time in other things? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is a good point. There's definitely some other areas that could have had focus in that amount of time that they gave the song, especially concerning like how much we've heard the song, obviously. But like, obviously, it is a little different with a live performance, and I am glad that they got their flowers and got like to do the live performance, because they have been a big part of the music and the soundtrack of Peacemaker so far. And music does have a big impact on like the viewing experience for a lot of media in good and bad ways. So I was glad to see them on screen, but also, yeah, I don't know if we needed the whole thing.
Yeah, and like I understand the purpose of the scene is not only are Chris and Amelia comfortable going back to the boat together, they're doing it together comfortably. They seem a lot more romantically involved now with one another, and like, just like physically affectionate with each other, so it's supposed to resemble them moving forward with their relationship, and I get that, but my points still stand.
Yeah.
And the season basically ends with them walking off into the sunset with the new agency. But then we wake up. Peacemaker, a week later, Peacemaker is walking back to his motel, and he gets kidnapped by Argus under the orders of Rick Flag Sr. And we find out that Peacemaker is going to be the test bunny for Project Salvation to see how the atmospheric conditions will affect the human body. And the final scene is just a wide shot of him by himself, alone on this planet, with a bunch of animals and wildlife that he has never seen before and has never experienced before. And he's going to be the only one stuck on planet Salvation until more metahumans arrive, most likely in the Man of Tomorrow Superman movie. So crazy.
Yeah. And that is how the season ends. That is it.
Yep.
That's
Flag closes the door, and that's it. And remember, they can open and close the door in any location at any time without the quantum unfolding chamber necessary. This is a huge threat to the DC universe.
Yeah, absolutely. So, let's get into it.
I'm not a huge fan of it because, like, I do understand that it's setting up a lot of things. And I will say the things that it sets up, it does set up pretty well. But I'm a bit more untrustworthy now because we thought other things were being set up too. At least we were being led to believe that some things were being set up for certain things. And, you know, that might just be the MCU in us or in me. I don't know. But a lot of certain things were set up, and then this finale did not pay off on those things. So for me to feel like that this finale sets up other things to happen, I'm worried that those things just might not even happen. But I don't know. I'm a bit more faithful in the fact that Project Salvation is going to be a huge factor because they're going to want to be placing metahumans in there. And I feel like they're going to want to fight back. And something bad's going to happen, and that's why Superman and Lex Luthor are going to need to seemingly team up. I do think that is a very likely thing to happen, or at least, like, I don't know to what degree. So I think it does set up that aspect of it well, but in terms of Peacemaker Season 2, what it's done and what it and what it closes off and finishes for the season, it's not that good.
Yeah.
Like, obviously it exists in a broader cinematic universe, but Daredevil also exists in the MCU, but it as a show is very, you know, it starts well and it's written up and closed up really well. So I don't know why, you know, like, just because, like, it's in a cinematic universe, like, doesn't mean that it has to, like, end off on such a cliffhanger and, like, leave so many things left undone. And also the fact that it's relying on being paid off on things that are coming out 2, maybe 3 years from now. Like, I don't know how fans are going to feel about that.
Yeah.
It feels similarly to when not a lot of people knew that Across the Spider-Verse was a part 1 because it wasn't advertised as a part 1. So then, you know, the end of the movie comes and you see to be continued. You're like, dog, I just waited 2.5 hours for this. What do you mean?
Yeah.
But then once you watch it as a part 1, it's a much better watch because it works very well as a part 1. So like I feel like now, in order to appreciate this, you need to change your view. You need to change your viewing of this as, like, it's going to be carried on into something else that's coming later, so then I can feel more resolved about it, assuming that it does get resolved. Who knows?
Yeah. When
it's just, I feel unresolved.
Yeah, and if it is like you said, like a part 1 to something else, or if it's leading into something else, on a first watch, not having that context and not knowing about that is like a completely different experience than knowing that context and knowing what there is to come in the future. Because if you're expecting it to be like, we've been building up to this crescendo that we got in season 7 all season long, or episode 7 all season long, and we've been expecting the payoff for that to come in this episode, but then it just completely sets up a new thing and we don't really know what to expect from it. So as much as someone can enjoy the season 2 Peacemaker in itself in a vacuum, when the future stuff comes out and when this gets referenced again, that is going to have an effect on how people view this, you know, and how their opinions on this might change because of that, depending on how they deal with it in the future. But yeah, it was very jarring of a finish, I'd say. I wasn't expecting it really, which I guess is, you know, a good thing in a way. But like, here's what I'll say. I'm glad that it seems like it's setting up something in the future, because now if Peacemaker isn't in something in the future, it would be strange. It would be very weird. So
because he's the test bunny, like he's very important in all of this,
right?
Like the results from him are what they're basing this whole thing off of.
Yeah, 100%. And if they're going to be sending other people there, if he ends up surviving somehow, he's going to be, since he's the first one there, he's going to have the most time to adapt to his environment and figure out what's going on here. He's kind of going to be like the one that people go to be like, hey, what is going on here? But like, I'm glad that it sets up something in the future, because I was a little, when we got the scene of them all like walking out of the building that they were starting, and it was all in slow motion, I was thinking maybe that was going to be the end of it, and it would have been a satisfying, like, feel good ending, but it also would have made me question if and when we were going to see these characters again in the future. But now with the way that it ended, we have to see Chris at some point. So like, I do like that part about it, but you know, I have mixed feelings about the ending. I'll say that.
Yeah, it would be cool if like the atmospheric conditions turned him into a metahuman.
Oh yeah, man.
That would be kind of cool.
That would be pretty cool. I mean, he's gonna be in like a very grueling testing environment. It's got to change him in some way. We might, depending on how long he's here, we might see him go back to that sort of like cold-blooded, less empathetic version that we were introduced to in the Suicide Squad. You know, we might see another version of that in some way.
Yep, another victim of circumstance once again.
Yeah, man.
Although, back to what we were saying about like the finale, just like not necessarily wrapping things up right, I want to use Loki as an example, because season 2 ended in a really good way to where like it's a good ending for the character, but you know it's still not the last we're going to see of him. You know he's going to play into bigger things in the future. And I feel like that show did that aspect of that a lot better than this one.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I think that's a good comparison.
Yeah. And also, when Flag reveals like, hey, you're the guy, tough luck, sorry, why doesn't he say, wait, your son's alive in another universe, I can tell you where he is, don't kill me?
Yeah, that is a good point. I don't know, there's definitely something he could have done. I feel like, why didn't you just tell him? I don't know.
We also never found out about the Peacemaker helmets and where they came from. Because remember, Leota asked him, like, okay, then where'd you get the helmets? And he just brushed it off, and we never saw anything about it. Never found out about the helmets. And, you know, someone said this finale felt like an epilogue to an episode that we never saw.
Yeah. That's kind of a good point. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if, I mean, this episode was almost twice as long as the previous episode. So I feel like they could have done maybe a little bit more in some previous episodes, just like spend a little more time like building up to this in a way.
Previous episodes were way too short.
Yeah, I think the episode 7 was like 33 minutes of airtime. This one was 54, I believe. So Yeah, I don't know what the decision was behind that, but I mean, I still like the show overall. You know, it was a great show.
Yeah,
It was a great viewing experience. I enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed talking about it on here. Um,
me too. Definitely. It's been a great journey.
mhm.
I really enjoyed talking about the show. You know, same as you. It's been a great time.
Yeah, yeah, and we've been getting a lot of support for it. It's been great for the growth. That doesn't go unnoticed.
Yeah.
We absolutely acknowledge that. So if you guys have been watching along with us and guys have been watching our recaps, listening to our opinions and our good and bad takes, thank you as always for your time. And we're gonna keep making stuff you guys enjoy. But yeah, I mean, I had a great time with this show.
Yeah, definitely. So, MVPs.
Yeah,
For the
yeah,
episode, I gotta go Leota.
yeah,
None of this happens without her convincing everybody of everything that they needed to.
yeah. That you're absolutely right.
Because even the thing that she wasn't necessarily involved in, and that being like her being that like Amelia bringing Bordeaux to Leota, she didn't
Mm,
necessarily have a role in that, but there's a reason Amelia thought of Leota in the first place.
yeah,
So,
that is a really good point. Yeah, I mean, I was there were a couple people I was kind of debating between for the MVP of this, but as you said, none of this finale happens without her, without Leota. So she is my MVP as well. I completely agree with you. She's been one of my favorite characters, if not my favorite character of this show. She's made such an impact, like I feel like in every episode, basically, and in this episode as well. Like just being a great just like bringing a different perspective, being like a motherly figure for everybody else, being like kind of the one that other people can go to um, for whether it be like advice or for help or whatever it be. She was like the backbone of this group.
yeah, she holds everyone together.
Yeah, yeah.
So, MVP for the season. Who you got?
I hope I don't. I hope I'm not talking about her too much. Leota Adebayo is my MVP of the season. She was my favorite character of the show. I every time she was on screen, I was hooked. I was like invested in what was happening. She wasn't really the main character of any episodes, I'd say, but she was almost always like right by their side or helping in some way. She was like the most supportive character, I'd say, whether it be like with her and Economos talking in episode 2 when they're on the roof at the party, or like her talking to Chris trying to convince him to stay in the world that he was put in rather than to go in Earth X before we knew it was Earth X. She ended up being right about that. Um, she was the one that had to stand up and read the letter that Chris wrote for everybody while also processing the emotions that it was having for her. She had to like be the messenger for the other people. And also like but she wasn't perfect though, because she had her own questions, she had her own beliefs questioned as well by Judo Master. He like put it in a new perspective for her, so she did have these um not necessarily flaws. I mean, everybody has flaws, but like these blind spots that even she couldn't see, and she was accepting of it, and she that led her to one of the toughest conversations she had to have, and she handled it very well. So, like, not only Leota Adebayo was probably my favorite character, but Danielle Brooks was excellent as Leota Adebayo.
I think I'm gonna have to agree with you, man. I think she's my MVP too, although Economos is runner up.
Yeah, yeah, I thought about him as well. Yeah,
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 they're both great.
both of
And
them.
they
Yeah,
both really put themselves on the line to make sure Peacemaker didn't suffer a terrible fate.
yeah, yeah. They took on a lot of the like burden, or not burden, but they took on a lot of the pain that he was feeling and like was there with him and through it, you know?
Yeah. So overall, I'm going to give the finale a 6, but I'm going to give the show as a whole like a 7.5.
Okay.
Because it did a lot well, but you know, the finale just like really did a number on it.
Yeah. It did. That's true.
But there was so much to appreciate in the
There
show.
was so much to enjoy.
There was so much good stuff in the show.
Yeah. If I like rewatching this, I know I would still have a great time and I would be very entertained.
Yeah, I would love rewatching this.
Yeah. So
I would probably just stop on episode 7.
Honestly, it's kind of a good crescendo to the season. Also, it's like a decent way to end it.
It's essentially the same thing. He's still in prison.
Yeah.
Just not alone on a foreign universal version of Earth.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Yeah, I think for the episode, I would give it a 7.2 because I'd say 7.2 for the episode, and I think for the season as a whole, I would say I think it might be an 8.1. I'd put it up there.
Yeah,
I liked it.
I see that.
A B at least. Yeah.
CJ's a glass half full kind of guy, guys. You can't help it.
My bad.
No, man. I mean, like, I totally see it, and I'm pretty much right there with you. Like, you're here. I'm like here.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, thank you for joining us for Peacemaker. It's been a great ride. The next show we'll be covering, pretty sure it's gonna be Wonder Man. So stay tuned for that. Although, whatever Marvel, DC content we'll cover next, we're gonna cover it. You know, whatever comes out, we're gonna cover it. So that has been the Sci-Fly Zone. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.